Hello, my friends. Welcome again. Today, we'll be discussing an entrepreneurial opportunities in food waste and sustainability model. The subtopic we will be discussing today is explain the role of innovation and creativity in recognizing and shaping business opportunities. Let's get started. Our course overview today is AIM. This macro model redefines food waste management, shifting the narrative from a traditional environmental engineering problem to a strategic opportunity for entrepreneurship and innovation. Situated at the intersection of the EU Green Deal, the Farm to Work strategy, and Turkey's zero waste vision, this course empowers participants to transform idle resources into economic value. Our learning objective is define and correlate. Define the concepts of innovation and creativity within context of the food waste hierarchy from both technical and commercial perspective. Opportunity recognition, entrepreneurial alerts, diagnose invisible waste points in the food supply chain as potential raw material and business opportunities using design thinking methodology. Strategic modeling, construct business models that are both environmentally impactful and financially sustainable by utilizing waste to value strategies. And regulatory analysis, uh, which is determine the most viable strategy for local markets by comparing different governance archetypes. We are not gathered here today merely to discuss rotten tomatoes or discarded bread. If you view the subject simply as trash, you are in the wrong room. Today, from the perspective of an industrial psychologist, we are talking about a mindset revolution, how food waste management is transforming from a tedious environmental engineering obligation into a billion-dollar entrepreneurial opportunity. You know, the human brain is wired to maintain the status quo. For years, we were told, finish your plate or it will cry after you. That was guilt psychology. But now, the rules of the game have changed. It's no longer about the crying rice behind you, but the money leaving your pocket and the missed innovation opportunity. This macro model we have prepared is designed precisely to facilitate this cognitive reframing. Look, in institutionalization consultancy, I always see this. Companies fail due to inefficiency, not lack of funds. Our food system currently operates with 30% inefficiency. What factory could throw away one-third of the products on its assembly line and say, this is normal? No rational business would do that. Yet, we do it in the food sector. That is why, in this model, we will address circular economy principle not just as a greenwashing tool, but as a survival strategy. If you are ready, let's start looking not at trash, but at the raw material of the future. Remember, waste is just a raw material lacking imagination. As an industrial psychologist, there is a diagnosis I often encounter in boardrooms: corporate blindness. Most managers walk through their factories, look at waste containers, and see cost. However, a true entrepreneur looks at the exact same time spot and sees it unmentioned innovation reserve. In academic literature, we define these cognitive competencies as opportunity recognition. This is not a matter of luck. It's the art of sniffing out market disequilibria. Look, the food waste problem is fundamentally a massive information asymmetric crisis. This is the that is the pulp that factory tries to get rid of by paying money, calling it trash, is actually the protein that factory B is desperately seeking as raw material. But they don't know about each other. The entrepreneur is the bridge that connects this gap. Today, the climate crisis and supply chain disruptions we are expressing, namely supply shocks, are forcibly pushing us out of our comfort zone. Fruits that we used to reject for being misshapen are now demanded by consumers because they are sustainable and natural. So there's a psychological revolution on demand side. On top of that, when exogenous shock like that EU Green Deal arrive, market rules are rewritten. While these regulations suffocate those doing business the old way, they create blue oceans, uncontested market spaces for innovative minds. Please look at the trash can one more time. There are not just rotten tomatoes in there. There are dollars lying there that your competitions cannot see. You just need to wear the right glasses. I know you want to rush to the solution immediately. You say, I have a technology, let's use it. But hold on a minute. In HR interviews, I always ask candidates, are you in love with the solution or the problem? Most are in love with the solution, and that is why they fail. Design thinking teaches us to hit the brakes first, then floor the gas. First stage, empathize. Who is wasting food? The chief, the consumer, the logician? Without walking in their shoes, and sometimes we really have to wear those slippers in the kitchen, you cannot understand the root cause of the problem. Maybe the chief isn't lazy, but peels the vegetables thickly because his knife is dull. You cannot figure this out from behind the desk. Next stage, ideate. Here, it's free to be ridiculous. We don't want a brainstorm. We want a brain hurricane, making 3D printer filament from food waste. Write it on the board. Making fabric from waste origin or orange peels. Write it. Don't judge. And finally, prototype. Perfectionism is the enemy of innovation. Fail fast, fail cheap. Don't fear launching an unfinished product. Fear launching a perfect product that the market doesn't want. The cycle you see on the slide is not a linear process. It's a mental gym. You will exercise your brain creative muscles here. As a psychologist, I can tell you this. The human brain loves its comfort zone, but innovation only emerges in moments of necessity. In industrial psychology, we call this the power of constraints. In the business world, the equivalent is constraint-driven innovation. Most companies view the EU Green Deal as a boring tax penalty left on their desk that needs to be paid. This is a typical reactive management reflex. However, for a visionary entrepreneur, these regulations are strategic opportunities that open up highways for you while trying the hands of your competitors. Remember, demons are formed only under high pressure. Look, with the farm to work strategy, the European Union is essentially saying if you pollute, you pay. This is where the polluter pays principle comes into play. This principle is a nightmare for factories that generate waste, but the sweetest dream for the entrepreneur who processes waste. Why? Because that factory has to pay high taxes to the state to dispose of its waste. If you go and say, give me that waste, I'll handle it. That factory will not only give you the waste, but will even pay you on top of it. Here emerges a financial concept is as rare in the business world as a white rhino, negative cost of goods sold. Imagine you are not buying the raw materials. You are earning money while acquiring the raw materials. This is probably the only moment your accountant will cry tears of joy. So, who will finance this transformation? Horizon Europe Cluster 6 is pouring billions of euros into brave entrepreneurs who take this risk. In summary, regulation exists not to stop you, but to force you into innovation. What did France do? In 2016, it slammed its first on the table and said supermarkets larger than 400 square meters cannot throw away unsold food. They must donate it. This was a first in the world. We call this the legal obligation model. Spain didn't lag behind. With the law entering into force in 2025, it imposes a doggy bag obligation on restaurants and applies penal sanction. Fines up to 500,000 euros. Imagine how frightening that is for a business. So, what does this fear create? Innovation. Supermarkets started working with logistics startups to avoid paying these fines. The lesson here: sometimes innovation is born not from inspiration, but from fear. If you are going to do business in this market, your complaints department needs to be very strong. In France, department needs to be department must be strong. In France, there is no "would you please donate" culture. There is "if you don't donate, I'll use the fine" culture. These strict rules actually create a guaranteed market for entrepreneurs because those supermarkets are desperate for someone to manage that food. Why shouldn't that person be you? Now, let's put down the stick and pick up the carrot. Italy and Denmark chose the reward and change culture rather than punish. The Gatta law in Italy is a masterpiece. It's built on bureaucratic simplification and tax reduction. Italy said, if you donate, you then pay waste tax. 3. They turned the polluter principle into donor gains. The result? A 21,000 increase in donation. They also rebranded the doggy bag as the family bag, shifting the perception from stinginess to family responsibility. The power of words. In the north, there's Denmark. No laws there, just the stop, speak, F, met movement. Civil society is strong that they convince supermarket to remove buy three, pay for one campaign. Because we know that the free third item usually goes to the bin. And we foot. The world's first surplus food supermarket. They sell expired best before, but safe products. And not like a charity for the poor, but with a hipster shop vibe. They created the perception that eating waste is cool. This is the victory of playing with cultural codes without state coercion. When we get to the Netherlands, things get a bit more technocratic. The Dutch view food waste not emotionally, but as engineering problem. Their slogan is clear: you can't manage what you don't measure. Here, the circular economy is not just a concept, but a way of doing business. Under the United Against Food Waste Foundation, the public sector and universities, Wageningen, and the private sector have united. Look at the examples: Orbisk. These folks put eye in the trash can. When you throw away half a hamburger, the camera sees it, recognizes it, weighs it, and reports to the chief. You threw away 50 euro worth of protein today. Seeing this, the chief changes the menu or purchasing. Another example is the waste transformers. With containers placed in the gardens of large hotels or stadiums, they convert waste into a biogas and fertilizer right there, without any transport cost. They remove logistics from the equation. This is a marvel of system engineering. Let's move from theory to practice. What are those making money from this globally doing right? Take Winnow Solution. They turned the measuring business I just mentioned into a global SaaS, software as a service model. But their smartest move is their business model, paid from savings. They tell the restaurant owner, I install the device for free. By reducing your waste, I will save you $10,000 a month. You give me a part of that $10,000. Zero risk for the client. This is genius in B2B sales. On the other side, Apple Sciences, backed by Hill Gates. This firm mimics nature biomimicry. They isolated natural protective substances in the fruit peels and coat other fruits like a second skin. The result? Avocado shelf life doubles or triples. Reliance on the cold chain decreases, energy is safe. Innovation here lies in adapting nature's own technology to industry. Dear entrepreneurs, I offer you three models to see the money on the table. We call this waste to value. Upcycling, the regrained example. When brewing beer, the sugar is extracted from barley, leaving the grain. This spent grain is a fiber and protein reservoir. Regrain takes this and turns it into super grain flour. What would be the animal feed becomes a gourmet protein bar. Value added increase is in the 1000%. Incredible. Platform economy. Too good to go. No need to build a factory. Just solve the information asymmetry. Connect restaurant with leftover food to student looking for a cheap meal. The magic here is surprise bug model. The restaurant puts whatever is left. There is no operational burden. Scalability is massive. Sustainable business model canvas. Forget the classic canvas. Add carbon credit sales to revenue streams and social impact to value proposition. Impact investors, look for this now. You must produce not just profit, but shared value. Let's turn to our own country, Turkey. I say this clearly. Turkey is currently an investment haven for food-based entrepreneurs. Why? First, the hardware, the collection infrastructure is legally established with the Zero Waste project. There is a 36% recovery rate. What is missing now is software and smart business model. Second, and most importantly, investment incentives. If you establish a food waste recovery facility, US 97 code 3720, you benefit from Region 5 incentives even if your facility is in the heart of Istanbul. No VAT, no customs duty, 7 years of social security support, tax reduction. The state practically begins. Come build this facility. Third, food banking legislation. You write off 100% of the cost of the donated product as an expense and are exempt from VAT. While destroying waste is a cost for a company, donating it provides a tax shield. We need consultants and intermediates to explain this to companies. Friends, we have reached the end of the presentation. My main message is clear. Waste is a failure of imagination. Food waste is not just an operational inefficiency. It's a massive raw material mine waiting to be discovered by entrepreneurs. The future food system will be a hybrid model blending Dutch technology, Italian instead culture, and Spanish discipline. My request to you is this. When you leave here today, don't look at a restaurant, a supermarket, or your own kitchen with the eyes of trash. Inside that, bean live protein bars, bioplastic, energy, and most importantly, new business models. Position yourself not as a waste manager, but as a value designer. The transformation has begun, and you will be the architect of the transformation. Thank you.